Well, good morning, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. I do see a couple of region secretaries on the call, so understand you have another meeting. I don't intend for this meeting to last quite that long. For those of you maybe that have not crossed paths with Susie in our office, she's helping me today and coordinating this Zoom meeting. But also, at least what we believe is a temporary basis, is assisting this year with cross country. So as we move forward and get into section season, you can reach out to myself and or Susie to provide assistance. And we'll give the caveat that this tournament is new to both of us. But we will work diligently to provide any answer and direction that we can, even if that means we've got to do a little research ourselves. And so for those maybe that don't know me, my name is Charlie Campbell, and I'm Associate Director with the League. And I am just starting my second year after serving the last 10 years of my career at Brainerd High School as an activities administrator. So I'm also working with track and field in the spring. And as our staff has changed, it seemed to make a lot of sense to pair track and cross country with the same administrator. And those that were on the call just a little bit early today, just some similar, some document changes that need to be made to make sure that our rules are tightened up, or at least what we've written down is tightened up between cross country and track. And so those are the types of things that will get better as time moves on. But again, want to welcome you. I know this is early. We're well more than a month in advance of our section cross country events. But one reason we're going this early is it was really important for me to jump in, to have deadlines, to really examine our process and protocol. One, to help me to understand, but two, we're going to only get busier as we get towards our fall tournaments. And at the risk of sounding a bit callous, just wanted to get this done and out of the way and let you begin the important work, and many of you already have, of planning for a great section tournament. Quick agenda today of the meeting is being recorded. So if you need to come back and reference any part of it, you'll be able to. And also for those that were unable to jump on at this time, certainly understand those conflicts, be able to access that. We're going to just review some documents and resources for section managers. We're going to build your section manager dashboard. If all of these documents aren't available, we will make sure that they get there in one form or another. And some of them are held within even your section manager's guide as well. Talk a little bit about website resources and communication. I'll be stepping in and just sharing information that will be familiar to those of you that have managed section events before, certainly familiar to our region secretaries on the call today. Going to have Josh on the call here in just a few minutes, Josh Gerber with Wayzata Results. Josh does manage the timing for the state event, and he manages the data coming into and out of the section events to make that process as smooth and as seamless as possible. So I've got a couple of slides for Josh to just discuss the process there and answer any questions that you might have to best facilitate the transfer of that data and ensure that we have good information as we head into the planning for the week of the state tournament. We'll talk about a few meet management keys and then just review some state qualifier information at the end of this meeting. A few documents for you that I think will be very helpful. Guidelines for the section meet managers. Susie shared that document with you. I believe that we'll probably take a little bit of time to review again. I know I want to make some changes to the uniform rule language, as Greg pointed out, and we'll update that, but we'll make sure that the cleanest, freshest copy is in your tournament manager dashboard. And so some of you I know may feel compelled to print that. Just know that as we make changes, the fresh copy will be uploaded and exist in your dashboard.
Right. Slides. We're still on the welcome slide.
Are we?
Yes.
Am I not? Okay, so where am I sharing? Sorry, Suze.
That's okay.
Sorry, everybody. Let me. Can you see the agenda now?
No. Well, I see it off to the side.
You might want to actually run the slideshow.
Interesting. Are you seeing anything different now?
No.
No, because I'm scrolling through nicely. It's telling me I'm sharing that screen. How about now?
No, you're still on the welcome slide. Do you want me to grab it?
Yeah, why don't you do
And
that?
share it.
Suze?
Okay, so
I'll
you
stop my
stop.
share. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, you're good. 1 second. Okay, are we on the docs and resources slide? Is that where you want to be right now? You see that?
Yeah, that's where I would love to be.
Perfect. All right, moving on.
Sorry, everybody. I love it. A good way to start our Friday. It's raining. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway, so as we get back, and you can now see the list of documents that I'm referencing, the cross-country rules and policies document. This is a document that is available for every coach, every AD, and also for you as section managers. And, I think you'd hear Bob say it's kind of our best kept secret. Anything related to the administration of cross-country, you're going to find in this document, especially if it's outside the National Federation rules that govern us. There's specific language regarding the uniform rule modifications specific to Minnesota. We are a bit more restrictive in Minnesota about those uniform rules. And also in your section manager's guide is a uniform verification form. We are working to make that a standalone document that we will put into your section manager's dashboard. And if you create a process at your section meet, this form could be modified. You could take it, make it your own, and just have a process to verify that as teams show up, that they are meeting the rule as it's written and as it's intended. Of course, emergency medical procedures, you're very familiar with this as it varies from site to site, transfer of care forms as well. And then just knowing that it's your responsibility to develop and share site-specific emergency action plans. I really don't have to go back too far. I'll go back about 10 days, and we had some really, really warm weather in southern Minnesota. We had athletes that needed to be tended to because of the heat and the exertion. We just don't know what kind of weather we're going to get the end of October. Typically, it's cool. The leaves are down and the sun doesn't quite have the power, but just be prepared and have an emergency action plan available and ready for your site. And then have a copy of the NFHS rulebook. It is a track and field and cross-country rulebook. And so the rules apply uniformly. There's a specific section within that track and field and cross-country rulebook dedicated to cross-country itself. Susie, we can go to the next slide. Talk a little bit about utilizing the website to communicate and provide information related to the section tournaments. Just keeping in mind that the website is a really powerful resource that our public will turn to in order to get information specific to the section meets and events that are administered through your administrative regions. So just there's 3 tasks, and at the top of this slide, you can see the shortened link, the bit.ly/MSHSLTP. Minnesota State High School League Tournament personnel, but that's a shortened link for you to use, and it'll take you to essentially a help document to complete these 3 tasks. I believe that most of you have completed this information because we've got it on a form that Josh requested, and much of that data was pulled from our website. So thank you to those of you that have completed that information for us. Schedule and results. If it's possible to add a schedule, use a PDF prior to the meet. This could be as detailed as you would like it to be, but making sure that our interested public know that when race time is for the various races that you're hosting that day, and of course a PDF of the results following the meet. One of the great pieces of a good website like ours is the ability to archive and hold information. And adding your results, it just continues to add a layer of class for the sport of cross country in particular, and it becomes a resource for a lot of folks, coaches, ADs, participants, and our general public as well. And our media does come there to grab quite a bit of information too, especially if they're unable to attend that event. And then just make sure that the tournament information for coaches and ADs is provided. These are resources that would typically not be seen by the public. These would be seen by those that are participating in the event as coaches or as schools. And this could be parking information. This could be just really a more robust schedule of events. And I think the better and more thoughtful this information is, and the less question our teams and participants have as they arrive and compete throughout the event, the better your meet will be received. And I think the better your meet will flow and the better experience you will provide for those that are involved. And maybe I'll just stop there and would take any questions thus far. And Susie and I can do our best to maybe answer some questions that are on anybody's mind at this point through the slides.
Say, Charlie, this is Paul up in Cloquet.
Hey, good morning, Paul.
Good morning. Say, I know you said the meet manager's guide is going to be updated. That updated site is going to be on our dashboard.
Yep.
So I was just wondering, so I'm the coordinator for 7AA cross country, but Keith Turner is going to actually be running it up at Hibbing Golf Course and organizing it up there. I mean,
well, I lost you, Paul. I think maybe you were going to say, is it possible to ensure that he can see it?
Yeah, because I mean, it's on my dashboard. So will I have to just keep sending him the updates, or is there a way to get that placed on his?
Susie, can you answer that question?
I can't. I actually just asked Amy. I don't know that I can put things on the tournament personnel dashboard. I think that has to be done by a region secretary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Susie and Charlie, that has to be done by the region secretary.
Okay.
The region secretary can give access to
Multiple people.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. And Wis, can you give access to ADs?
I believe so.
Okay. So maybe that'll be a request. Susie and I will connect internally.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Create a process and communicate through region secretaries how we want to do that.
Okay.
We'll try to lighten your load a little bit, Paul.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for the question.
This is John. So a question with that. You said on the dashboard that meet manager's guide is available on our dashboard. I'm not sure if I see it, or where would it be on the dashboard? Under which area?
It's not on your dashboard yet. That's what we were just. Yeah, we were just trying to figure that out because it has to be put on there by the region secretary. So.
And they just received the first copy yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
So chances are, John, it's just not quite there yet.
Okay,
Yep.
I received a copy via email, but I was just wondering if it's all right. All right, so it's not done by the the main, or it's not done by you guys to put it on these section dashboards then, huh?
Yep. So we'll figure out how we're going to handle that moving forward. And
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's easier just for the main office to put on all the meet managers' websites, dashboards and that. Okay.
And you know, at a minimum, we can always send you the copy directly, just like Susie did today and shared through the invite. So, but
Charlie, I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up, Ben?
I just want to clarify on the schedule and the results, you want a PDF and not a link to the live results? Because most of our timers have links to live results. Or do you want an actual PDF?
I'm okay if you link the live results. The only issue, Ben, is that's not based on who your timer is. I don't know what the length of the archive is. So if you would like to do that, I think right out of the gate, I do think at some point to archive it with a PDF is best practice. It's a great question. I'm glad I stopped here. We had a lot of questions. All right, any further before we move on? All right, great. Let's go to the next slide, Suze. We're going to welcome Josh. Are you in the call, Josh? I know he said he was going to be just a few minutes late. I think we've managed maybe to take a little bit of time. There he is.
Yeah.
And again, Josh is going to be our primary timer for the state tournament. Is going to be relying on your results and that data being entered and transferred appropriately. So Josh, we've got 2 slides for you here and just like have you walk through some of your information.
All right. Not all of the section meets are on athletic.net yet, but I hope to do them by the end of today. Entries will open on October 1st and close on the date and time specified by either you or your timer that's in the document, that's in the form that you filled out. Entries will be submitted via athletic.net. We will export the entries in the file as requested. I'm going to take a quick second and actually make sure that everyone, so no one actually put in what format they want, which is fine. I think how everyone wants it. And I don't see anyone using, except for maybe 3A. I think everyone's going to be using a CSV file. So, but again, if I send you the wrong file format, and I will send this to both you and your timer so you get it, because that information I believe is provided in the document. Yes. Okay. So I will send a copy both to you and the timer. If you need a different format, just let me know. We will send multiple updates throughout the process, probably usually 3 days before, 2 days before, and this is prior to your deadline. So it's about 3 days before the deadline, 2 days before, 1 day before, 12 hours before, and then anyone who's late after that, has not done it at that point. And we will also send those updates through the system as reminders to coaches. I'm ready for the next one. Actually, so there's just something I want to mention on the first slide, but you don't have to go to the first slide. You can just leave it if you want. Access to the entries is strictly from me and my staff, mainly just me. So again, we're not going to allow the sections to have access to that or specific timers to the actual entry information. That's the same thing we've done in track and in cross in the past. We will send one example or test format prior to the deadline, just with how much stuff is going on the week before and the week of sections. Just to give you an idea of what my week looks like that week, I am prepping for the Iowa State High School meet and 3 collegiate cross-country championships the same weekend. So I just will not have the time to send 3 different sets of emails and formats throughout the process. So if you would like a test format, let me know. But that's just what we're going to do. Any errors or grade issues that are at the section meet, remember, this is what the coaches put in. This is not something that I've put in. This is something directly from the coaches. So if it's going to be changed, even if it's a switch at the section meet, they still need to, if it's prior to the deadline, they can still go in and make a name change prior to the deadline. If they're swapping out an alternate from sections to state, they do need to contact me, because otherwise that's not going to get thrown. That's not going to get pushed through. If they have a name issue, say they spelled the name wrong, they have the wrong grade in, they need to go into athletic.net and fix it themselves. If you make it at the section meet, which is fine, it's not going to get pushed through. So if they enter a kid as a 9th grader, but they're actually a 10th grader, and then your timer makes that change at the section meet, that kid's still going to get pushed through as a 9th grader. So the coaches still have the ability to come in to athletic.net and make changes to their roster name, so that specific name, and change it going into the state. Sending it to me, I'm not going to change it for them. They need to go in and they need to do it themselves. This is the information. I'll say it again. This is the information that they have put in. It's not the information that I put in. And the big one at the end of the day is, do not change the team names that I provide. Those are directly from the high school league. They need to be the same for this process to work. Okay? Because when we do have some sections that change names and want it to look a certain way, and that's great, but it creates a lot more work for me, because I have to go in and edit your file so that this process works flawlessly. Okay. Please do send me your results as soon as possible after the section meet. Just with how busy that week is, it would be very helpful to get those results as soon as possible.
And I would say, I would just add to that, to Josh's call not to change those team names. If there is a team that is identified incorrectly because the co-op, and it's typically going to be because of a co-op and how a co-op wants to be identified, let me know, and I'll work with Amanda, and I can work with Josh. But what we don't want is to be sharing data with 2 different school names, because then it's creating a whole bunch of work. So that may in fact happen, and you typically see that with co-op schools that want to be identified a certain way. That would just be something to have the activities administrator in that school bring to our attention here at the league office. Appreciate that, Josh.
Usually we do catch that during the section process, so that's usually pretty easy to fix. But if they do notice it and they contact me, I'll pass it along, and we can get it changed prior to the entry deadline so that the name is correct. But I do believe I've gone through and made sure, at least through section 3, that everything has matched up so far.
Thanks, Josh. Any questions for Josh while we have him on the call?
Are deadlines generally set just a couple days before the section meet?
Well,
what are most sections doing for a deadline?
As early as October 21.
As early as October 19th.
Or October 19th, excuse me, and as late as October 27th.
I have my meet on Thursday, and I have my entry deadline on Sunday night because I need to get the names to my t-shirt vendors so they can make templates up for selling shirts.
Hey Josh, for sending the entries to us, you indicate like one format allowed prior to deadline, but prior to deadline, you also mentioned you're willing to send the current status, right, of the entries to us like a day or 2 before, 3 days if we request it then?
Yeah, so what you'll receive is a screenshot of teams that have done their entries and that have not.
Oh, can we request the entries up to that point?
You get one of them. So yes, you can request one format prior to the deadline.
Oh, just one, okay. And that's just because of time restrictions on your part?
Yes, it's
have availability.
Yes. Yep. Is the section 5A coordinator on this call? Dave from Piers?
Yes, I'm here.
Dave, you have the deadline set for noon the day of?
Ray's here with me. I didn't think so. He thought it was the Monday of. That's what it is right now.
Well, you have it. I'm just looking, and you have it for noon the 27th.
Yeah, it'll be changed.
That's fine. I just happened to glance at it. So
Okay.
do you want me to change that to October 24th for you?
I think last year we had it like Monday morning or something like that.
So that'd be all right. I'll change it to the 24th.
Thanks.
So, okay. I just happened to notice that and I was like, So, okay.
All right, with no further questions, Suze, we can move on. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you taking a few minutes to be with us this morning. I just want to talk briefly here about a successful section meet. Section managers, meet managers work with your region secretary. First, if there are any questions or issues, just a reminder that these are state high school league events, but they are operating independently at the region level. And so that's going to be your first point of contact. Your region secretary can work with me if there are any issues. And certainly you can contact me as well. But it's always good to keep your region secretary in the loop if there are questions and or issues. As we work to resolve those together. Again, rule modification, just a couple of highlights. There's a lot more detail in your section manager's guide. But just know that if there are foundation garments, those are garments that are worn underneath the uniform itself, garments beyond the sports bra or the brief. If two or more members have those garments, they must match. The top and bottom do not have to be the same color, but the colors and the garment colors for all the team members must match. We've been seeing a little bit of face paint and eye black stickers. I think similar to maybe how athletes do in other sports so far this year. Just a reminder that that is not allowed. So any preventative work you can do in these areas is helpful. Baseball hats, scarves, do-rags are not allowed, and headbands would be allowed. They are not allowed to have a knot in them. The uniform rule is pretty specific when it says uniforms are not to be knotted. Anyway, so just again, preventative officiating here will be really, really helpful for both you as a section manager and the officials that you maybe have hired to work that event or work that meet. And any quick questions on the uniform rule?
Yeah, Charlie, let's see, two of them. One for visible foundation garments. Was there something that if the undergarment on the shorts is above the knees, the colors don't have to match? I thought I remember that at one point, but what's the current ruling on that?
John, I'm going to throw it to you.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's all out. The length of the undergarment is no longer part of that rule. Above the knee, below the knee, that part of the rule is now gone.
Okay, that used to be there, right? If it was above the knee, they allowed them.
That went by the wayside a year or two ago, and it's single same solid is the rule that I go by. You know, single color, solid color, and same color. And what Charlie described as under the top and under the bottom, they don't have to be the same, but you know, it's the same as if it were a relay in track and field. And the other thing that's coming up as I start meets, a lot of kids have questions regarding watches. and all watches are legal. Any type of watch now is legal.
Appreciate that. And remember, the intent of this rule is to, really make sure that we can identify all members of a team. And moreover, it also serves to elevate the sport, elevate the presentation, to make sure that we're meeting the standards of the high school league and certainly by the schools that the students are representing. It's not to have rule for rule's sake. And so again, we want to do some preventative work in these areas. And Scott, appreciate the helpful clarification there. I see John started the call with us, but must have got pulled away.
Charlie, also, Scott, I assume for visible foundation garments, the sport bras don't count in that, right?
Yes, they do not count towards a foundation garment.
Right, okay. And then we talked about the headbands with and not are prohibited. That's just part of, like, no part of the uniform, whether it's the headband's just kind of like a special I mean, normally I guess it would be the shirts that people tend to not, right, in the back.
Correct.
Well, no, I ran into this yesterday with a number of athletes. These new Nike headbands that tie, they're very popular, but they are not legal. A regular headband without a knot is perfectly legal. And those that wear a ponytail, primarily the girls, they can use all types of different bands and that kind of thing, and they are legal. It's just the visible headband. And what I'm running into is this very popular Nike brand. Some kids said that they have 10 or 12 of these, and they wear them, but they are not going to be legal.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, and the better we do at managing and enforcing that at the section level, the better it is at the state meet as well. So appreciate your questions, John, and your efforts to ensure compliance at the section meets.
Charlie, this is Paul and Cloquet again.
Hey, Paul.
Cross-country uniform emphasis that's on the dashboard. I don't see anything that talks about a headband with a knot being prohibited on there. Maybe I'm just not finding it.
Should be number 11.
That's about removing shoes and stuff like that. 12 is there is no restriction for jewelry or hair control devices. It talks about you can't wear stickers, face paint, scarves, bandanas, do-rags shall not be worn during a competition.
Yeah, there's a document. So here, Susie and I will have to go back to work. There's a document that's more accurate or maybe one step updated from that.
Okay.
I see a number 11, and what I can do really quickly is I'll just drop this in the chat, and you can at least I hope be able to open this.
Says it's requiring access, Charlie.
Let's see. Anyone with the link can view. Anyone with the link? Let's try this. I don't know if this is a different. Let's try that one. Is that one able to be accessed?
Yep.
Great. Paul, there's an updated for you. And again, we'll get that cleaned up and make sure that that's in our updated section managers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one you just put in still doesn't have the thing about knotted headbands.
Correct.
Greg, is that something you have conformed to as well, the knotting? I know that when we talked with Danny in the past, that was always the case.
Yep.
Greg, I'm looking looking at number 11, the hair control device cannot be knotted or have a knot-like protrusion.
Well, the one I clicked on in the chat didn't show that. So let me try the other one.
I do see that, Charlie.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I see that also.
Great.
Yeah.
I will make sure that the right one is there.
Yeah.
What if I may? I noted this yesterday because I'm doing some conference meets, and what I found is that if I get this stuff out to these coaches for their conference meets, then it's not a problem at section. But if the first time they see it is section week, and as Scott mentioned, a lot of people have these Nike headbands and they've gone out and gotten their team logo put on it. Everybody's worn them all year long. Nobody has stopped them. Then we have this negativism toward the high school league and its restrictive rules and all those kinds of things. If there's some way, Charlie, to blast every cross-country coach in the state with this particular piece and really let them know. One of the things we're starting to see is kids are coming and they're painting things down their legs. We had somebody at the state track meet with 3 Philippians down both legs, and they ended up letting her run because it was an indelible marker and she couldn't wash it off right before the race. And we gotta.
I'm planning to send an email today to all cross country ADs and coaches.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Charlie, the one that I had Carmen post yesterday for me, looks like it did not have the language that you just shared. So I'll make sure and get that updated today.
Okay, thanks. And that was probably my fault, as I probably had 2 different documents open on 2 windows and grabbed the wrong one.
And we can definitely share that out with coaches today, coaches and ADs today.
Great. All right, and a reminder that, again, we're in the 2nd year of a 3-class system, and so there were some changes to how runners would historically advance, the individuals that is. We still are grabbing the 1st and 2nd place teams for advancement, and the top 6 individuals who are not members of those advancing teams. If you have ties in team scoring, you start with comparing the 6th place finisher. If your tie exists with 2 teams that only have 5 finishers, you'll total the scores of the first 4 and take the tiebreaker that way as well. And Susie, we can go to almost our last slide. And again, Josh will be working with your timer directly, but please have your timer send the results to Josh Kerber. If there are streaming requests and media requests, typically those must be handled through the region secretary. I know cross country is probably not a hot streaming activity at the section level, just because of the challenges that exist with runners disappearing at various spaces around the course. But should you have somebody that is interested in capturing that, just know that needs to be managed and approved through your region secretary and region committee. And a quick note about weather before we wrap up. Again, if there's lightning and thunder, if you can see it or hear it, clear it, and know that the clock starts for 30 minutes from the last visible lightning or audible thunder. You have to wait that 30 minutes before returning to the competitive area. Have a plan for this. I realize that you're often outside and you're in spaces. It might be returning to buses, but whatever your plan is, make sure it's shared and communicated, certainly by all of your meet personnel, but also with coaches in the event that there needs to be a delay. Please know that should there be inclement weather, if it's particularly cold, wet, windy, and athlete safety is a concern, meet management can modify the uniform rule to allow for appropriate clothing to be worn during that race. And we want to make sure that we're allowing that to happen because safety is a top priority. Also worth noting that, as you communicate in advance of the meet, that should be appropriate clothing. Even if we modify the rule to allow for kids to bundle up a little bit and cover their extremities, that we want to make sure that it is in line with the standards of the community school district and the Minnesota State High School League. We shouldn't see Pabst Blue Ribbon hats or sweatshirts that have messages or logos and advertising that do not advance the good work that we're trying to do in our schools and with the State High School League. And again, probably not going to be an issue for fall weather. It does tend to be mild. Just know that we need you to get your meet in by the 29th. Sunday and Monday are not options. Those, one, competing on Sunday is not allowed through bylaw. And number two, we need that time the week of October 31 to prep for the state meet that is going to take place on Saturday, November 5th. And Susie, we can go to the last slide here. And this, again, slide deck and video will be available to you. Just know that qualifier info is being developed. ADs and coaches will be able to access that information online. I am thinking that on Monday of state qualifying week, the 31st of October on Halloween, that we will do a qualifying schools Zoom meeting just to review some state meet details. But again, we'll be communicating directly through the qualifiers to make them aware of that particular meet. So just really an FYI. And, I've been thinking a lot about the various events. I have new assignments this year over last year. I was a longtime AD. And, your work in preparation for this tournament will go a long way in creating the best experience possible for our kids and a lifetime of memories. For the vast majority of kids that show up at this meet, this is going to be the end of their season. They do not have the opportunity to advance beyond it. The attention to detail that you put in, the level of communication that you send out to coaches, the care and attention you put into marking the course properly, the care and attention to creating restricted areas and high quality spectator areas where you can, all of those pieces lend itself to a really high quality meet, remembering that the vast majority of participants, it's going to be their final meet of the season. And for many of your runners, it's going to be the last time they run in a high school meet. And so your efforts to elevate and raise the quality are appreciated. I understand you don't have a gymnasium, you don't have a stage, you don't have lighting. The days are getting shorter. There are a lot of realities that just make managing an outdoor meet on a golf course or in some sort of secluded area creates challenges. But those other pieces with which you have control, when you do them to the best of your ability, you're creating a top flight experience for our kids and our coaches. I know you'll continue to do that work. I appreciate your attention and effort to that work. And more importantly, so do our kids and our coaches that are coming from our member schools to participate. So with that, we're going to stop recording. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you for attending and appreciate everybody jumping on this morning. Best wishes. Let us know how we can help.
Oh, Charlie, I have a couple questions.
Yep.